Welcome back to Summer League Basketball Media Day here at the Downtown Holiday Inn in Sioux Falls. And we've gone through all of the head coaches. Tom Nieman back along with Brad Newitt, Jay Elsen. We'll get to Kelly Stewart, bring her in here in a moment. This was fun. I was not ready for even talk about basketball. But basketball season is a couple of weeks away. Now I am. This was fun, and thanks to all the coaches for coming in here and making the trip to Sioux Falls.
Yeah, it was great. I thought just to get everyone together face to face. You know, in the past we've had more of a teleconference, but this was great. I think really got to dive in a little deeper into some of the teams and just learn about some of the newcomers and what to expect. And you got some teams that you got a lot of same familiar faces back, and you kind of know what you're getting. But there's a lot of teams on both the men's and women's side that I'm really excited to see how they develop through the year.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit on it there, Brad. But I mean, generally, you know, personally, I worry about South Dakota, and so those are the coaches that this time of year that I'm talking to. So to be able to bring them all up into one spot, not only that, but televise it so other people could see it, gives you kind of a fresh perspective on the league, a much deeper perspective, as you kind of alluded to there. So I'm certainly looking forward to it. I think you know, we've gotten so accustomed to seeing such great basketball on both sides. Yeah. It all leads up to the Summit League tournament in Sioux Falls, which has become absolutely a marquee event in the world of mid-major basketball. And certainly being able to have that deeper look now already before we're even getting into the non-conference part of the schedule, I think that adds even a little bit more to it.
All right, Kelly Stewart, your thoughts on today? Just you got to talk with the Omaha coaches and a few others, South Dakota as well. Thoughts on today?
Well, Tom, first of all, I was very ready to talk about basketball. I've been ready since March Madness ended, all that. But no, today was great, and I was interested to see how this went. You know, talk about 5 hours of live coverage, not only from our end, but from the coaches' end. It's always interesting on media day because you get a lot of coach speak usually, like, how's your team? Oh, we're great. We had a great summer. But I thought the coaches today were very honest, very open and honest about their players, who's coming along. Of course, they want to give off a positive vibe, but they gave us more than just the coach speak. They gave fans more than just the coach speak. And I thought it was great to hear from them. I mean, these teams are opening up in 2 weeks for some of them, so it's going to be here before we know it. But yeah, to get everyone together, you just talked with Commissioner Duble about moving the offices to Sioux Falls. To have everyone in Sioux Falls right here at the Holiday Inn was great, and just a great overall day of talking to the coaches.
And there's some longevity in a lot of these coaches.
Yeah.
Jim Turgeon's in, I think, second year with the Denver women. There's a few newer coaches around, but no rookies this year.
Todd Lee in his
first year
yep.
at South Dakota. That's the one.
Yep.
But there's a lot of stability in this league, and it's kind of fun to get these people all together.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is, you know, these coaches are really willing to entrench themselves in building a program. I mean, I think about a guy like J.D. Gravina at Western Illinois, who's had a ton of success there. You got to think he's had some opportunities to go other places, has chosen not to. He wants to build a program there, and now he even mentioned it in our interview that this is going to be a big test for him. You know, he lost 75% of his scoring, lost the Player of the Year in Emily Clemens, but as a coach, sometimes they really love that challenge. They embrace it. Like, hey, let's bring a new group in. Let's teach him. Let's teach him the Western Illinois way in his case and see if he can recreate what he's had.
But you're right. And Todd Lee, this is a good job for Todd Lee. The Summit League, these are good jobs for these coaches.
And you're walking into, I mean, look at again, we keep coming back to it, especially here because we're experiencing so much of it firsthand. But the facilities these coaches have to work with. And it's not the same all the way across the board for all of these guys and women. That they're not necessarily working with what we've gotten used to seeing here in Sioux Falls in South Dakota. But it's becoming more the norm, and it's just, I think, evidence on the spotlight that's been on the league, and largely because the tournament has been so successful in Sioux Falls. They've gotten more exposure through the media and things of that nature with all the games that are being televised, and I think it's just raised the scope of the league to an entirely different level. I mean, it's mid-major basketball, yes, but in a lot of ways, you could look at this as the crown jewel of mid-major basketball.
We feel like big timers.
Yeah.
When we're doing this.
Yeah.
So that does make a difference. Let's put up the women's preseason poll here, and this is voted on by coaches and media members. And this is the women's first, and South Dakota State is picked to win the league again. South Dakota is the defending champ. The South Dakota women unbeaten last year under Dawn Plitzer-White. Kelly Stewart, what about the USD women this year?
Oh my gosh. Well, coming off a year like last year, of course you're building, but we talked to Dawn Plitzer-White about her roster, and you look at it and you just see one senior in Allison Arns. Obviously a great player, but still, it's like, are they really that young, and they are, but a lot of those younger kids have played a ton of minutes and have stepped into a role right away. I think of Chloe Lamb, and just the impact. If you watched the WNIT last year, she was on the court in those key situations, or like a Monica Arns. I remember her making huge plays at the end of that Michigan State game that helped send it into overtime. So I think South Dakota, of course, South Dakota and South Dakota State, always the top dogs. But another thing that I found very interesting today was kind of the elephant in the room is, what is it going to take for this league to get an at-large bid when it comes to the NCAA tournament? Because it's been either South Dakota or South Dakota State going, and then the other one gets sent to the WNIT. And that's great, and these teams have had success, but I am very impressed with the non-conference schedule of not only South Dakota and South Dakota State, but these other teams this year taking on these Power 5 schools, and I have a great feeling that we will see some wins for the Summit League going up against these bigger opponents.
All right, and the Jackrabbits knew it. Jackrabbit women are going to be loaded. They really are.
They've obviously, you've got Macy Miller, Maddie Giebert back. I mean, two maybe of the best players that Aaron Johnson's ever had, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Both as seniors as well, been very battle tested, and I think to me the big question for them a little bit is interior presence. They lost Ellie Thompson. They don't have a real physical player, I think, to step in her role, but I think they've got enough offensive firepower on the perimeter. And people forget sometimes, Macy Miller's 6 foot tall. She could play some posts if she needs to. She's skilled enough that they don't need her down there, but they've got really good size on the perimeter that I think that really is disruptive. But to Kelly's point about the two bids to the NCAA tournament, I think the Summit League's very close. I think South Dakota State was pretty close last year had they not won the Summit League tournament of maybe qualifying. And you got to have everything fall the right way. You've got to do well in your non-conference. You need no upsets in other mid-major conferences and things like that. But yeah, it could happen.
All right, just a couple of minutes here to talk about the men and what you guys thought about what you heard today from the coaches that you talked to. But South Dakota State is the favorite to win the men's side again, with the Coyotes right behind them, Jay.
Yeah, and the question I have about South Dakota, I think is fair, and I think it's the question that everybody has, is that with all the change, Todd Lee being a very obvious part of that, with being the only new coach in the Summit League. But of course, you take away Matt Mooney as well. It's about 19 points a game in Summit League play. And then to boot, there's 4 core guys there in Trey Birch-Manning, Tyler Hagedorn, Tristan Simpson, and Tyler Peterson, who played a ton of minutes over the last couple of years under Craig Smith and are very, very valuable pieces. Other than them, there's only a couple of guys who were even part of the program. So lots and lots of change. And so that's where I wonder just how that's going to go for them. I think Denver obviously is on the uptick. It sounds like Purdue-Fort Wayne's got a couple of ringers coming in that had to sit last year to help fill the void with the absence of Bryson Scott. So I really do think that top half of the league, just like it has been, is going to be extremely interesting come March.
Yeah, some star power coming back with Mike Dahm at South Dakota State. Could become less than 10 guys ever to score more than 3,000 points in his college career. So we get to see that coming up in Summit League basketball. For Brad and for Jay and for Elena and Kelly, our thanks to Ryan Powell and Commissioner Tom Duple, everybody at the Summit League office. That's it for Summit League Basketball Media Day. We'll do it again next year. Thank you for watching on Midco Sports Network.